My basic question that I'm asking everyone is, have you seen a UFO yourself?
Yes.
So can I get your name?
Stan Musselman.
Okay. And your name?
Rich Dolan.
Okay. First of all, I want to know if you've had a UFO sighting yourself.
Personally, no, never.
Never. How about you?
Maybe.
Basically, my question to you is, have you ever seen a UFO?
Not that I can say so specifically. I've seen a couple of strange acting lights in the sky, but then that doesn't overly impress me.
Happy to agree to an interview with Carrie Cassidy about my work.
Okay, so basically what I wanted to ask you is, have you ever had a UFO experience?
I'm not.
See, we're going to sound like absolute liars and lunatics. Up until now, I've had the one thing I've prized is that I am the objective chronicler of your story. And now I am Alice through the looking glass. I have fallen in and I am furious.
This one was a circular, like amber color type craft that was totally silent, and this was at night, and that's about it.
What were you going to say?
Oh no! I mean that's.
That's like an incredible record, right?
Pilots, people of that caliber, pilots, police officers, other types of professions, but specifically pilots. It really is very important because my position with MUFON, I'm the state director for Northern California. But overall, we have approximately 60 field investigator trainees, 20 field investigators. Our goal is to promote and develop more quality investigators as sightings are increasing.
Sightings are increasing?
Yeah, we've been keeping tabs on our database, and now that more reports are coming, we can't keep up. We cannot keep up.
One of my mentors, who's gone now, but was a really bigger-than-life New York City police detective who took UFOs very seriously.
In the early 90s, I was beginning to put together my book, Alien Agenda, which is a journalistic overview of the whole UFO situation. And I received some information from a researcher in the Midwest who had gone to a conference in Atlanta, Georgia, at which one of the military remote viewers was speaking, and he sent me a transcript of that talk, and I was just astounded, because here was a decorated U.S. military intelligence officer, and he was quite matter-of-factly saying, yes, they come from here and they go there and they're doing this and they're doing that.
This document described NORAD tracking objects coming into the solar system and being tracked as they enter Earth's atmosphere. Objects coming in from way out there, and then
What do they call them?
going back out. Fast walkers and slow walkers. Fast walkers are the fast ones, and slow walkers are the slow ones. To try, like a lawyer or a historian would, to lay out a case for military interest in this. No question, military's big-time interest in this, absolutely 100%.
You have an overwhelming multiple UFO event.
Oh my God.
That goes on and on, involving all different kinds of things. Less than half a mile from one of the most highly secured NATO bases in the United Kingdom at the time. And some, no bigger than stars zigzagging around the sky and pulsating and changing color. Fully articulated discs dropping into the forest, lighting up the forest. It was...
Do you think someone was trying to get a message through to
Well, I'll tell you the truth. At the time, that was the last thing I would have thought. I mean, what an ego to think that they're doing this show for you. Now, you know what? I don't even know what to think.
Einstein had his unified field theory, which says the whole universe is bound together in a huge energy field and that we're all part of it. And to me, that helps us explain some, like, psychic phenomena. I think people who are sensitive can tap into the universal energy grid, and I think that that's why we have these thoughts and come up with some of these concepts, I know.
But I had a very dramatic sighting as a youngster growing up in a village on Long Island about 30 miles east of Manhattan with one of my sisters, and it was so overwhelming to me. I was a very straight kid, and the adult world said these things were nonsense, and I never questioned it. And all of a sudden, there are 5 silvery white disc-shaped objects on a clear blue sky that have come in at a high rate of speed and just stopped over the neighbor's house. And they're ellipses. They're like tipped dinner plates, and they're in a very precise military V formation. And you could actually make out what we could only read as, little yellow details on the edge that might have been windows. And it fried me. It absolutely upset me so much that, having had what I would call a very happy childhood overall with minimal trauma, I repressed the memory.
I was walking with my son, who was very small at the time, in my town in Rochester, New York. Saw a very intensely bright object in a beautiful blue sky. Very unusual. And it actually transfixed me. So I'd never seen an object this particularly bright. Stopped, looked up at it, thought this is very odd. Even if it's a reflection, it's one like I just had never seen. And it was almost as if I couldn't stop looking at it. My poor son, who was 3 years old, sees his father standing like a statue. And I think he was getting a little nervous. And for about a split second, I turned to him to reassure him, everything's fine. And the object was gone. Gone. There was nowhere for it to have gone. It was very bizarre. There were no clouds in the sky. It was as if it just winked out, and I thought, damn it, why could I not have seen it just go away? That was bizarre. I don't really know what that was.
Did it have definition?
No, it did not. It was a real object. It was a craft, and it seemed like it was reflecting intensely. I've speculated it could have been an ordinary aircraft that just hit the sun's glint in a certain way. But on the other hand,
and so people said there was something outside. Everybody was outside watching it from the walkway in front of the river there. And I went out, and sure enough, there was a object hovering off in the distance at maybe a couple thousand feet. And I actually saw it in the binoculars, and it was dark. It had some protrusions. It was not moving. It was very hard to explain. It was certainly not a plane of any kind. It was not a balloon. It looked along the lines of a probe that we occasionally got some photographs of that can just park itself for a while, and we watched it. It stood there for a good long time. That was it. No lights, just a dark object with some shape and some protrusions. Very strange, and people were pretty excited about it. I did see it in the binoculars. That's as close as I've come to anything we could call a UFO. But the nature of what I've been involved in has unfortunately limited my ability to go out and just have fun with this stuff. Mm-hmm.
What do they say about the twining method? What would they...
I'm trying to think of one recent guy that I corresponded with. They take it as a given. Many of them take it as a given that the military was taking UFOs serious.
Oh, yeah. In the beginning, there's no question about it.
Some will say...
or is.
Was or is, you said?
Yeah, taking real...
Well, definitely was. So then the question would be, is there anything that caused them to change their tune and not to take it seriously? And frankly, there is nothing. There is no credible study. You can't. Some people point out the so-called Robertson panel in 1953. No, sorry, that did not end the military interest in this. Not even close. Or the so-called Condon Committee report of 1968-69. But that didn't end it either. They're still interested. There's been no reason for the military to change their tune.
But ultimately, I'm a political activist. I'm not leading people to nirvana, and I'm not leading people to a higher consciousness. I'm trying to change government policy. That's pretty nuts and bolts, right? Laws. You can have a wonderful spiritual sense, and they can pass a law and ruin your life real fast. There's a self-disclosure process which is required. That it's being pushed by various forces, including ETs, meaning the human race acknowledges to itself fully formally that the ETs are here. And then we digest that, with books and TV and movies and stuff, but in a acknowledged world, not in a we don't know world. And that will take 4 or 5 or 6 or 7 years, whatever. And when that is done, and we've gotten kind of pretty comfortable globally, all religions, all races, with this, then the ETs can have full contact and they'll come down. Makes total sense to me. And the way it's working out, if you have disclosure in the next year to 2 years tops, which I think is likely, and then about a 5-year digestion period, well, the ETs make formal contact in 2012. I'm always going to be amused by that. And that would be the paradigm change. That while the disclosure event would be the most profound secular event in human history, the formal contact event will trump it. But it will be anticlimactic in a sense if we in fact have gone through the self-disclosure process and digested this and got used to it. But yet ultimately very profound. And
so it's really not a hard thing for me any longer to accept that there are other beings that are inhabiting this world here with us, and indeed they're not just visitors. They live here. That's what I think. I think they're here.
The new world which disclosure will present to us will formally begin with formal contact. Is that the new world that the prophets and the Mayans and others have said is going to happen? The end of one world, the beginning of a totally new world, the world in which we are in fact part of a galactic reality, formally part of a galactic reality. Works for me, and it's certainly better than cataclysm, destruction, right, whatever.
You study UFOs long enough, and it's a no-brainer that there are other intelligences and other, call them entities, that are here, and they can take maybe a variety of forms. Maybe they're not all physical, right?
Or
It's a pleasure talking to you.
Thank you. You too,
We're
my
like
friend.
such intelligent people here, the speakers.
You know, the best thing about conferences like this is we are in a zone where you can have the everyday courage to discuss absolutely anything that you want to without fear of ridicule or funny looks. It's still what's best about America for me, that we can exchange ideas freely so far.
You know, I understand people, somebody has told me recently that even the books you take out from libraries are being monitored in certain cases.
Yeah. And they say now that they backed off of that, but I don't believe it.
So I got in touch with this military officer, and all of a sudden I was in touch with several of the people who were with the Army's remote viewing unit, and I began to put all that together in a book, and I thought this is going to be my big scoop. But even though I had a contract and the book had passed the legal vetting, they canceled it and censored it at the last minute, just like they've done 4 other of my books.
I want to hear about. I believe people should be prepared and willing to sit down and talk about anything. You're here, you may only be here once, so why have this whole list of subjects off limits? What are you afraid of? Words are going to destroy you?
I correspond with a number of people who do military history and aviation history, most definitely. And what you find with these guys is many of them are covertly very interested in this topic. And they're just terrified to write publicly about it. I came across, I remember this, what has become known as the Twining memo. This is very famous among UFO researchers. A memo by General Nathan Twining, head of Air Material Command in 1947, in which he's talking about flying discs as real, not visionary, not fictitious. And I thought, whoa, even if this was a big mistake by America's military, why is it not in any major history book that I've ever read? Why is this whole topic absent from American history? And that was a very simple, little, naive, innocent question. And I thought, I would like to know, did the U.S. military ever take this topic seriously, ever? And if they did, I want to know what they thought about it. And so that just started this sojourn, which has lasted over 10 years. And of course, the quick answer is, the documentation on this is open and shut. There is no question. They are hundreds and hundreds of military documents we have, courtesy primarily of the Freedom of Information Act, which show maybe not the smoking gun, maybe not, the aliens are here, boss, what do we do now? But there are many documents that are one cut below, describing amazing military encounters with these objects that are disc-shaped, detailed descriptions, amazing maneuvers, zigzag, stop on a dime, the whole thing. That just is not supposed to be possible.
Peace.